So let's do this. We went a little bit over time, or a lot. Let's jump over directly the second session for the second half of Hot Takes Live today with Ryan Milligan. Hey, what's going on?
Wanda, how are you?
Glad to have you here. I'm very good. What about you?
I'm good. Beautiful day in Philly, so I'm a happy man.
I'm excited. So, great session around sales compensations. We were talking about, cross-functional objectives, conflict, priorities as well. So great lead into this session. You are Senior Director of RevOps at QuotaPath. Floor is yours.
Thank you.
Presentation handy as well?
Yeah, I do. Let me go ahead and share it.
Sounds great.
Let me see if you can see this.
Yes.
Is that working?
Perfect.
Like that?
Yeah, floor is yours.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you to the Breadcrumbs team for having me. My name is Ryan Milligan, and I lead RevOps at QuotaPath, a commission tracking and payout automation software. So I care a lot about sales compensation. And big thing I'm talking about today is that sales comp should be public and equal. And what do I mean by that? I'll talk to you about it in a little bit. So I'm Ryan, again, lead RevOps at QuotaPath. Fun fact about me is I'm a crossword writer. So I've had 2 crosswords published in the New York Times. So if you find me on LinkedIn and are pitching me a product, you mentioned crosswords, you're probably going to get a reply to your BDR outreach. But I'm happy to talk about crosswords in any capacity. So origin of the problem. I and the QuotaPath team do a lot of compensation planning and consulting. We talk to a lot of customers and prospects who are interested in just having help for how to build correct commission plans. And one of the things I run into a lot is that orgs will have different peer sellers, so people in the same role, on different comp structures and different quotas. And what I get from them is, okay, well, we have one rep with this territory and another rep with this territory and a third rep with this territory. And because of the size of their territories and because of their tenure and what have you, they have different base salaries, different on-target earnings, different variable comp, which I firmly fight against and feel very strongly that within your sales organization, you need to have people in peer roles with the same variable and base in terms of overall on-target earnings. And this is coming up for a lot of different reasons. The first is really that equitable territories do rely on equitable comp. So you look at a company like Gradient Works and Hayes is really pushing equitable territories and equitable account design. That equitable territory design leading into equitable round robin distribution, leading into equitable comp, like that is the path that you need to have. And you really need to have your reps at different levels or peers within the same level being paid the same amount of money. The second thing that's really important is you're seeing a lot of rise of automated distribution, right? So if you think about 5 years ago in territory design, demo booking, there was no automation really. And now you have accounts that are reaped and replaced automatically. You have people with dynamic books. People are demoing and booking demos in a round robin capacity, and then are having opportunities move through a funnel, all in a very automated fashion, which can lead to a lot of inequity if you don't build this process fairly. And there's a lot of comp transparency in the job market, but not a lot within sales teams. So I've talked to a lot of sales teams where one account executive didn't know that she was making less money than another account executive in the same role because that person was more tenured or had a better territory or something like that. So it's really important as we add transparency to the job market that we're also adding transparency within our sales teams internally. And so what does this actually mean? What this means and how we operate in QuotaPath is that reps at the same level in your org. So QuotaPath, we have an account executive, an account executive 2, and a senior account executive. Those are the 3 sales roles, and that's how you grow throughout our org. Reps on the same level at your org should have the same on-target earnings. So our account executives, each of them have the same variable and the same base. When you graduate to an account executive 2 or get promoted, you now have a higher base and variable. And when you level up to a senior account executive, you have a higher base and variable as well. That should be public and shared within your sales team. Every rep at QuotaPath knows the on-target earnings for every other rep within the organization. It's really important for a couple different reasons. One, it removes preferential rep treatment, right? We've all talked to the sales teams that were founder-led sales and then eventually had 3 reps. The first 3 reps were brought on board, did really, really well. And then reps 5 through 17 don't do as well because they're not getting those great deals handed off from the CEO. We want no preferential rep treatment. We want every single rep to have the exact same shot of winning. The other reason it's really important is because it gives growth visibility to your team. If a rep is looking up as to what her next promotion could be, and she can see her comp, it's going to make it less likely that she's going to go look for another job because she knows the path to success to move up in your organization. And finally, something I care very much about, it makes your commissions process way easier. You have the same commission rate across your teams. You have a quota to OTE ratio that your reps understand. You have just a whole lot of transparency in comp within your org, and you are able to retain your top talent, not spend money on reps moving between jobs, and really have a commissions and comp process that is equitable, fair, and easy for your organization. So how does this work in practice? The way we do this here is we set different team levels for team members of your org and set equal OTE per level. So you have different titles, SDR, account executive 2, senior account executive. You set these different levels, the comp is transparent, and people know how much money they're going to make at each level. Then you make your territory distribution equitable. So I would love it if our 17th rep was our best rep, right? You see this all the time where reps 1 through 3 are doing the best, and you have worse productivity over time as you have more reps join your org. We want to make territory distribution equitable. We want everyone to have the same size book of business or the right book of business for their role to make it easy for newer reps to join the team. And then finally, you want a simple comp plan. We talk about pizza topping rule here at QuotaPath, where you want to make sure that a comp plan, one, your reps can explain to you, but from a pizza topping perspective, no pizza is great with more than 3 toppings, right? So no comp plan here at QuotaPath, or for what we recommend to our customers, has more than 3 variables. You want a rep to be able to very clearly, for every deal that she closes, tell you how much money she's going to make and how much money she's going to make for deals in her pipeline. Big takeaway for me, equity is very important in sales. One of my favorite Obama quotes is around fair shots and equity. Everyone playing by the same rules and getting access to the same opportunities. And that's a really important thing to me, to make sure that you have a comp plan that is easy to understand, that comp is public, that people know what they're going to earn at your org, and people know what they're going to earn as they grow throughout your organization and in their career with your business as well. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Ryan.
Short and simple. I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Yes. So I have a couple of questions / reactions for you. In the meantime, if anyone from the audience has some as well, feel free to write them in the comments and we'll pick it up from there. So one reaction, love the pizza analogy as an Italian, of course. That's a thumbs up immediately. Are you comfortable sharing those 3 criteria that you guys are using to measure performance?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our sales team, we have a base rate. This is for just our account executives. We have a base rate, a quota to OTE ratio. So we have a rate that reps make for closing a deal between, an annual deal between 0 and 100% of their target. So they have a quota up to 0 and 100%. So typically we see orgs at different revenue sizes have different quota to OTE ratios. So smaller businesses, typically less than a couple million in ARR, will have around a 3x quota to OTE ratio. So that's the quota, their total, annual quota divided by their total on-target earnings is around 3x. That grows to 3.5x, 4x, 5x as the ARR of the business grows, which means your effective commission rate declines as ARR grows. So we have a base rate for 0 to 100% attainment at an annual contract. We have, once you've gotten past your 0 to 100%, there's an accelerated rate. So overachievement of quota, we accelerate rates. No
kind of over-under approach for you guys, essentially.
Sorry?
an over-under approach for you guys, essentially. The more
up to 100%. So you earn any dollar up to 100%. And then once you're over 100% attainment, you earn a higher rate because we want to emphasize that. And then we also have a rate kicker for 2-year and 3-year contracts. So if a rep signs a 2-year commitment or a 3-year commitment, she makes an additional couple points on her rate. So in total, a rep has 6 rates she can earn for any deal. So it's super simple. It's I'm up to 100% of quota, I earn this rate. I'm over 100% of quota, I earn this rate. And then if it's annual, 2-year, 3-year, these are the rates. So it's literally just a table, a 2x3 table with 6 rates, and that's it.
Love it. So if anyone from the audience is thinking about applying compensation structure for reps, now they have kind of a playbook, right? A blueprint.
Absolutely.
So question, sounds like you are a big proponent of transparency across the board. Do you recommend that for every company period, or are there exceptions to that? Like, are there cases where you think that having compensations available to everyone within the org or even outside the org is counterproductive?
I would say, so the way that I frame it is within the sales team, that is where I think transparency is super important. So I don't know if I would, there are situations in which maybe from a team to team perspective, from a motivational perspective, you may not want to be sharing to your sales reps what engineering's making or marketing or whatever, because they might not have the context of what that role entails. So a lot of my focus is within the sales team explicitly. I think it's really important. And I also think it's really important to share comp for roles in the market as well. So you'll look at job postings on our website, you'll see comp bands for those because we don't want to waste anyone's time. Where I would say is, I think in a role by role basis, unless the place where I would push back on overall transparency would be for like in between roles, because the challenge is that if somebody doesn't necessarily know the value that a software engineer or a product marketer or a finance leader brings to the org and what they're working on, if they don't have the context, they may not understand why the comp is what it is, and that may lead to more confusion or derailment than actual benefit for the business.
Right. And is it fair to say that, so you're thinking about this as a way to not only be fair to everyone within the org, but also attract and retain talent, right?
Yeah, talent retention is a huge thing we talk about here at QuotaPath.
Right.
If you think about the amount of money you're spending to hire and bring on sales rep, to have them leave in 6 months is, from a return perspective, very challenging. The open ops that they have when they leave, we've seen anywhere from 70 to 80% of those are going to lose because you have that weird clunky handoff, which doesn't work. So it's just overall not beneficial for the business. And so transparency for us is very important. Yes, from a acquisition perspective, for sure, in the market, but it actually plays a much larger role from a retention perspective. We think it's incredibly important that an account executive at QuotaPath can see their growth forward in your business, can see that you're being equitable with them, and can make sure that they are being treated fairly as compared to their peers. And this becomes really, really important as your sales team grows from 3 to 10 to 30 to 100, right? Once you're at 20 plus reps, you're probably not going to have necessarily as much of that problem. But there's this really tough inflection point when you've gotten past the 3 founder-led reps, which is what I call them, like the ones that just get handed off the great deals because your CEO knows the VP of sales at some other company and can hand off basically a warm, closable deal, versus the first time you're doing outbound or having like unrelated inbound to reps 5 through 20. That's the place where I think there's the most foundational risk to your business. And that's a huge focus for us to make sure that we can scale our team effectively and be transparent in that way.
I appreciate that. Ryan Milligan, Senior Director, RevOps at QuotaPath. If someone wants to reach out and speak directly, how can they do it?
LinkedIn's great. I'm pretty active there. I talk a lot about sales comp and data team structures is another big passion of mine. So, and data practices. So yeah, happy to chat whenever.
Love it. Thank you so much. We'll take a short break, 5 minutes, and then we'll come back for the last session of this track. Be right back.